Good evening. Thank you for being here. I changed the name of my workshop at the last minute to 3 key components of creating an intention instead of critical components, because who the heck wants to hear the word critical at any point in time? So I kind of regret that. Moving forward, this workshop, we'll call it the 3 key components of creating an intention. I'm Karuna. I'm the founder and executive director of Mind Oasis, and we are only here because of so many wonderful people like you all who are here live, but also folks who are watching the recording. So thank you so much. You really make the community what it is. So I want to invite us all, of course, to take a meditative moment, but we're going to actually be able to do that here in a minute. So hang in there and enjoy the first couple of things I'm going to present, and then we'll have a meaningful, short meditation, and we'll keep going. And I'm hoping to share the whole presentation in less than 30 minutes because we're all busy people. And I'm just going to say I have a new beautiful black cat that we've adopted. He's 10 years old and his name is Sunny. He just arrived today. So if you see black tails, paws, or anything else happening, just know it's because we have a new kitty in our house, and I'm keeping him in my meditation space until he has an opportunity to meet my dogs, which will happen in the next couple of days. So thank you again for being here, and thank you for helping to co-create this community. It would not be what it is without you all. So this quote you've probably heard or seen, and I'm going to invite you to take a moment and I'll read it to you and let it come in through your ears and land on your heart. And we're going to see the quote again, so don't feel like you have to write it down. There's going to be another opportunity here. Just allow yourself to arrive by taking maybe 3 full, satisfying breaths. Feeling the ground underneath you. For those of you who are lucky enough to be outside, feel that sun and air above you. And just allow these words to settle in through your ears and land on your heart. Live with intention. Walk to the edge. Listen hard. Practice wellness. Play with abandon. Laugh. Choose with no regret. Appreciate your friends. Continue to learn. Do what you love. Live as if this is all there is. Maybe another breath or two. And if you're going to take notes tonight, I'd encourage you to do so. Feel free, if there is one of those phrases that just really resonated to your bones, to write it down. So anytime that we talk about intentions and goal setting, it can get a little confusing. And in fact, even in preparation for this workshop, I spent a little time looking at the differences because different people have different opinions about what they are. And I think that's good. I think it's good for you to look at what I've written here, which is a little bit of a conglomeration of different sources, but down at the bottom is the main page I used. And in the follow-up communication, I'll include that link. I think it's a great read. But I think it's important for us to think about what an intention is for us and what a goal is for us. They are not the same thing. So an intention written down here is a guiding principle for who you want to be and how you want to act, live, and show up in this world. And I would add for yourself and others. Sometimes we think of these things as outward facing. I like to think of them as inward facing. How are you caring for yourself through the power of intention? And intention allows you to create alignment in your life. And we'll get to a question as a part of this exercise about what holds you back? What isn't in alignment? And an intention can be really powerful for creating alignment in your life. And I'll talk about that in the longer series a lot, about how I've used alignment to transform my life. An intention, you can think of it as a lens. You'll hear me talk about it as a lens quite a bit. Sometimes you'll hear people talk about a higher purpose. I wanted to take out higher purpose because sometimes it isn't really a higher purpose. Sometimes your intention is pretty simple. The word laugh could be considered just an attitude, right? An attitude towards life. So I tried to actually take the loftiness out of the language to bring it down to almost what I would call the dirt, the earth, the ground. Your intention doesn't have to be pie in the sky. It can be right here, right now. And I would posit that it should be. Sorry to shit all over you, but it should be, right? Then a goal is, I like to think of that as like some sort of desired outcome that you wish to attain in the future. You're moving towards a goal. I like to think of this with jellyfish. You probably wouldn't jellyfish. So just picture in your mind's eye jellyfish swimming in the ocean. The ocean waves, the tide kind of takes the jellyfish wherever they happen to be. That's not how you get to a goal, right? You have incremental steps to get there. A goal is the desired outcome you wish to attain in the future. It allows you to look into the future and identify what it is that you want to achieve, where we want to go. And then traditionally, we create an action plan to get there. So can you feel the difference? The words I'm using in goal, it's much more yang, it's much more driven. It's if we're going to keep the ocean going, right, as a metaphor, if the jellyfish are kind of swimming along, it's the strike of the shark as it gets its prey, right? So an intention is not a goal, and a goal is not an intention, but you can use both interwoven together to align your life. I don't know if in the past year or so, Mind Oasis has talked as much about alignment, but we used to talk a lot about using our practice to feel aligned in our life. I have a lot more to say about that, but again, this is kind of a little teaser for the longer 10-week series, the deep dive that we'll do, but there's plenty here if this is all you do, so fear not. Couple more slides and then we'll do a little practice here. So how do we use an intention differently than a goal? I like to think of an intention as a powerful lens rather than a destination. So in my own life, my intention is to be a healthy, strong mountaineer who inspires others. I use this template, this lens, this view to make decisions throughout my entire day. So last night, I texted my friend Rainey to let her know that I wouldn't be able to come and meet her for coffee. And we had that date set for the past week. But my week has been so busy with my 9 to 5 that if I would have gone to meet her for coffee, I would have had to have gotten up and out the door within an hour. I wouldn't have been able to meditate and do all of the self-care things that I do so that I'm sane and able to be present for myself, for my colleagues, for my family. And so I ran it against that lens of healthy and strong, right? Not necessarily mountaineer, but it does come back to my training. So an intention is this beautiful way of being present that you can use to make every day, every moment decisions. So let's say your intention was to be as present as possible in each moment, right? I think a couple of you actually put that in our quiz or our question, our Transformation Tuesday this week, or something like that, to be as present as possible for the people in my life, right? So if you're driving along, are you going to drive and text simultaneously? Not if you want to be present for yourself in a safe way. You'll wait. So these are small examples, but it also applies to big decisions too. Let's say your intention would be to feel financially secure. Then you're not going to be like me and put everything on a credit card. So it's a little bit of humor, but it's also true. We get to, whatever our goals are, then we get to use our intentions to create the life that supports the goal. And when we feel out of alignment, when I'm texting and driving at the same time, that's not being healthy. That's being distracted, right? So we can use this intention in every moment of every day. So I promised you 3 key elements, key components, and the first component of creating an intention is to identify what your heart's longing is. You will sometimes hear this referred to as a heartfelt desire. And again, we'll get into this much more in depth in the longer series, but as a taste, let's go through this exercise. And the most important element, many of you have done this with me before, the most important element is that you are not going to think your way to the answer. You're going to feel your way to the answer. So because we don't have a lot of time, just take a good seat. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes and turn the gaze inward. I'm going to invite you to take a few of those full, satisfying breaths. And with each breath, notice in your body the expansion, the movement of the breath itself. And then really try to feel your foundation connecting with the surface that you're seated on. In fact, I'd invite you to even feel roots growing down towards the earth, like a little extra pull, bringing you just a snug closer to the earth. And I'm going to invite you to roll your shoulders up and back on an inhale, opening your heart space. Tuck your chin a little bit more than you think you need to elongate the back of the neck, and then feel the crown of the head extending towards the sky. And take a moment to feel the air, the sun, the sky, the clouds above on this longest day of the year, the beautiful solstice, summer solstice. And I'll be quiet for just 1 minute. We'll just sit and notice. Sit and notice. And then I'll ask you a question 3 times. You're going to drop your attention into your heart space. You might even place a hand there. You just want to really connect with the place that's most tender in your heart. And you're not thinking, you're just going to allow the answer to bubble up. And don't be surprised if it's surprising. So, what does your heart most long for today? What does your heart most long for? What does your heart most long for? Might be a picture, it could be a word, And when you have it, then just allow yourself to come back and present into your room or space or beautiful outdoor arena, wherever you happen to be. You might write it down. If you've never done this before and you went totally blank, don't panic. It's totally okay. You can do this time and again. I designed this workshop so you have standalone tools to work with intention, whether you join me for the longer series or not, okay? So this heart's longing you could do every day on your cushion. Every day to connect with, because sometimes your heart's longing, when you add the word today, it changes. The deeper work, the deeper dive that we'll do over the 10-week series will work with, like, what's your heart's longing? The big boomba. That may shift over your lifetime, but it doesn't shift as much, right? For a long time, mine was freedom. Now it's clarity. So there you go. All right. Your second key component. How does your heart's longing feel in your body? We are trying so hard to drop out of that cognitive thinking mind. So if you had an image, a word, the way that you will work with this, again, on your cushion or out in the world, maybe on your walk in the morning, whatever it might be, how does that word or that picture or that image of your heart's longing, how does it feel in your body? For me, this desire for clarity feels expansive. My body almost feels double its usual size in a really beautiful way, okay? It could feel grounding. It could feel tingly. It could feel numb, and you have no idea. That's okay too, right? We become more and more sensitive in our bodies as we practice meditation and mindfulness more and more in our lives, okay? The third key component is a question for you to ask yourself. What holds you back from your heart's longing? What holds you back? And the invitation here is to actually write down a handful of things. So my example, when I used to work with the word freedom, overcommitting held me back. Placing unrealistic expectations on myself definitely held me back. Not being sure or having fear about making changes held me back. Doubting my ability to change held me back. And then the second part of this exercise is you take your laundry list and you put next to each bullet point the corresponding emotion that's driving it. I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. You're going to put down different types of emotions, but at the end of the day, you're going to ask yourself, is the real driver doubt and fear? And in the 10-week series, we're going to get into this big time in a really supportive, powerful community way. And I'm super excited. This is one of the things that came to me really strongly on my last mountaineering expedition in Nepal, is that doubt and fear. Yes, they can hold you back, but to me, they are the number one and the number two, and they interchange pieces of kindling in your fire for transformation. So when channeled, all those areas of doubt and fear can become your greatest superpowers. And we're going to be talking a lot about that in the longer series. So to give you, again, a couple of good tools, if you don't make the other series that you just have, and you can do a lot of Googling around about sankalpas. That is a Sanskrit word. If you Google it, you're going to find all bunch of really good material. I Rest, the letter I, and then Rest with Richard Miller. This is his jam. So if you find things by him, I can wholeheartedly support how he presents sankalpas. The reason a sankalpa is such a powerful template for setting an intention is because it's a commitment to our truth. So an intention isn't like, I'm going to buy an amazing car. That would be a goal, right? And then you're going to set up your different ways that you're going to buy that amazing car. But an intention that could support that is, getting aligned with how you spend your money, priorities you make. I'm trying to give you some examples, some real world examples of how a truth can still support day-to-day life. So you will see sankalpas can be a commitment to our higher truth. That's cool. And we'll work with that in the 10-week series. But it can also just be a commitment to our truth that we can use in our day-to-day life, how we treat our friends and family, how we treat ourselves, the actions that we take, the actions we don't take. The coolest part about a sankalpa is that it's stated in the present moment. So instead of saying, I would like to be more compassionate to myself and others, you would say, I am a compassionate person towards myself and others. Can you see the difference? And then how that template, you write it down, you put it on your fridge, put it on your mirror, and then you can run it through your filter. Are you going to react to your boss or ex-husband or ex-wife, or are you going to respond because you're a kind, compassionate person? Okay. So the reason I wanted to come back to this slide of this, let's say, poem, is because she nails sankalpa after sankalpa and intention after intention. So if you're sitting here going, hell, I just really don't know, Karuna. Well, number one, come to the 10-week series because it's going to be awesome. But number two, you could use this poem right here, which you'll have access to sort of see what it looks like to have an intention in the present moment. Listen hard. I love that. I love that as an intention. I listen hard. I practice wellness. Think about applying that to all the aspects of your life that are important to you. How would you practice wellness with family? How would you practice wellness with career? How would you practice wellness with your own self? What about play with abandon? I play with abandon. Jane's like, I know you don't, Karuna, but I also know that you really someday will get there, right? Jane plays with abandon. I am like, that terrifies me. That's where my work is. Can I play with abandon? These intentions are rad. So if you're like, I don't have one, pick one from here and work with it for a while, because then you're going to start to connect with your heartfelt desire, your heart's longing, and you're going to figure out what your intention in life right now in this stage really is. Okay, I promise. That I can promise. Okay, so then nuts and bolts. I also have to move you guys, sorry. Write your intention down and breathe it to life. Now, everyone's probably going, well, why didn't you give us some examples? One, because I don't want to skew you. Two, that poem, I don't think we could do it any better. So, take those and use them as a template. Like I shared with you, mine is, I am a healthy, strong mountaineer who inspires others. So you write your intention in the present moment. And then for the next week or so, you're going to sit with it. And if you don't have a consistent meditation practice, we can help you with that. but that's okay. Just take your 5 to 10 minutes with your coffee or tea in the morning and sit with your intention and feel it. Let it become like a good friend, right? That snuggles up to you. And then tweak it as necessary. I've added to mine, I've detracted from mine, I've simplified mine, I've made mine more complex, then I've simplified. It's a living, breathing intention. That's what's so cool. Read it in the morning. read it in the evening, and bring it into your everyday decisions. That's the rubber hitting the road. Everybody who's been around Mind Oasis for a while knows that we're a big fan of rubber hitting road. And then adjust as necessary, right? If you're like, you know what? I don't want to do mountaineering anymore. I actually just want to like read a whole bunch of books and enjoy them. Then just shift. It's time to shift. You will know, your intuition will tell you when it's time to shift. So I just want to bring this up before we wrap up. You will see me advertising our 10-week series with this phrase: intention plus meditation plus heart equals goals achieved. So what does this mean? First, you got to connect with your intention. And the reason is because your intention actually works in the subconscious. And the way that we take in information is through our conscious. So we take in information, we rinse, repeat. I like to think of it like laundry within our subconscious. If you place that intention in your subconscious, you are rinsing and repeating through it over and again. You know what happens then? We change our neural pathways. So you can read about intentions and read all the woo if you're into it, or you can read about the power of intention and the science behind it. Or you could be like me and you're kind of curious about both. Why do you also need meditation? Because if you want to put fuel in that rocket ship of intention, presence is how you get there, because you're going to remember to connect with that intention. And your consistent meditation practice is what gets you there. I would say, can anyone give me an amen? Because I'm looking at Pierrette and Jane and Charlene, and I bet you, and Fausta, and a friend that I don't know, Jessica. And, you know, when you get a consistent practice, everything shifts. So,
amen.
Yeah, thank you. So just put that rocket fuel in there of meditation. And if you don't know how and you don't know what you're doing, we have community meditation. It's like $10 a month, $12 a month. Plus we have a meditation immersion. We have all sorts of ways to support you. That 10-week series, you get community meditation as a part of your registration fee. So you can sample community meditation during the 10-week series. And then what do I mean by an emoji heart? What the hell, Karuna, an emoji heart? It is connecting with your heart's longing and getting out of your thinking brain. What does your heart want? What does it feel like in your body? That's how you achieve your goals. Because otherwise you're muscling. And if you've ever tried to muscle through addiction, if you've ever tried to muscle through really hard physical stuff, it sucks. There's such an easier way. And these three elements are really important to that. So finally, this is your invitation. It's your invitation to the Power of Intention Circle. We will deep dive into what I've presented here in a really fast cursory fashion. But again, you'll have this recording, you'll have slideshows. So if that's all you want to do, you've got it. Otherwise, we start next Monday and the sessions will be 90 minutes. Yes, they'll be recorded. So if you're like, dang, I can make 7, but I can't make 10 weeks, no big deal. There will be a break kind of midway when I will be in France, and maybe you guys will decide to meet, maybe you won't. But that's what we've got going on here. Power of Intention Circle.